The Hollywood Brown injury twists the Chiefs' plans up in knots, but he's out of the hospital, back in KC. Let's break it down. Welcome back, everybody. Special breakdown edition on Sunday night since we had a live stream last night. Going to give you the basics here. If you don't know me, I'm Ryan. This is me going rogue. Make sure you like and sub. Hollywood Brown, big injury, catastrophic in terms of the last thing that you want to see is your highest free agent acquisition go down in preseason game number 1, but he did. And we've got a couple of updates. He did spend the night last night in Jacksonville, but is back in Kansas City as we understand right now. That's a good sign. And that helps because he didn't have to have a surgical intervention. They are on exactly the same timeline as Tyreek Hill was with this injury. Tyreek was out 4 weeks. I don't know if Marquise Brown is going to be able to be as aggressive. Tyreek has a much more developed upper body. That does help in stabilizing the joint. So I do think that this is more likely a 6-week injury than it is a 4-week injury for Hollywood Brown, but you never know. Motivation means a lot. It's about pain management and making sure that that joint is stable because of the way that your shoulder joint is put together. That AC can always cause some problems if you don't let it heal. And that's why I think the Chiefs are more likely to be cautious and keep him out not only for the preseason, but for the first week or two of the regular season. That's going to have some cap gymnastics, at least in consideration. And more importantly, the roster gymnastics they're going to have to do. So it comes down to if he's missing, you can put him straight on IR if you want to give up 3 weeks of his season. That is a possibility on cutdown day. You won't see him go there before because if he did before cutdown day, an IR designation will end his season. So it has to happen on that day. That said, there's a number of options, and I think a number of risers and fallers that really stake to claim as to how they deal with this. You're going to see Hollywood Brown continue to just be that mentor for the younger group of receivers. It's going to come down to Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy in two wideout formations. And you got to be careful with Xavier. I thought his demand of attention that we saw against the Jacksonville Jaguars is only the start of the symptoms that we will see for this season. So I do think he's a viable candidate to be out there, but you got to be careful. You can't overload him. So I do think a 50% snap share is about the most you can get from Xavier Worthy in the first quarter of the season. So who takes up those reps? Rashee Rice will be your primary, but what happens next? It's going to come down to this. The team has one plan, the fan base has another, and I'm going to try to explain both. For the fan base, Justin Ross was one of the risers from preseason week number 1. He got his style of play, was able to make a leaping catch. He's the only guy who made a contested catch. He is on the way up. That was the first time we've seen him perform in a way that we can see the expectations coming true. So good for him. That pulls him onto and into consideration for one of the 6 wide receiver spots. Likewise, Nico Remugio had some problems. He may have dropped down. They're still pretty close. But neither of them are going to be directly affected by Hollywood Brown's absence because the difference between what the fan base wants and what the staff wants is experience. With Justin Watson out, they would prefer to put him into that number of snaps and have him take over for Hollywood and be that guy. We don't know if he's capable of doing that. Right now, his injury may keep him out, if not this week, possibly into the regular season. We're going to have to find out. If he's back at practice on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, getting ready for preseason week number 2, okay, fine, you're good to go. If not, we know how the coaching staff feels. And this says it all. It is Skyy Moore that got those reps, that was on the field in Hollywood's absence, and they want to push that continually. So it is Skyy Moore that will reap the benefits of Hollywood Brown not being able to compete week 1 or 2 or whatever it turns out to be. That said, other guys will come along as well. We don't know the status of Kadarius Toney's injury. We still think he's probably going to be on this roster, but quite frankly, if he doesn't show something soon, that could come to pass that he's cut as well. And so then it comes down to Ross and Remigio and the other guys that I think made some statements there, made some progress. First and foremost for me being Montrell Washington. Now, I know he's been hot at camp. There's always a step up. You always have to see that competition rise when you go to an NFL football game, even if it's in preseason. And he did play later in the game, but he got a ton of snaps. I believe he was one of the leading snap getters, and that's good. I think he deserves more against certainly twos in preseason game number 2, maybe even a little bit with the ones. Let's see what he's got, because right now he ran a ton of routes out of the slot, as did Remigio. So you know that if you're going to go 11, it's a possibility. If the Chiefs decide not to go 11 personnel in the wake of the injury to Marquise Brown, it could be more tight end 2. That is solidly, as of right now, still Noah Gray. Noah was the second best tight end on the field. It was not particularly close. It wasn't anything much of a surprise, and he wasn't overly used. I will give this, a lot of people down on Jared Wiley after one game. It's one game for a rookie. I do think he's going to bounce back, and I think he's going to be fine. And I do think he deserves some reps with Wentz and maybe even a few with Mahomes to see what you can do. If you can go 12 and 13 packages in the first couple of weeks while Hollywood's recovering, I think that helps this team overall. But there are 2 other guys at the tight end position that I think could be key. Irv Smith didn't get a whole lot of reps, but he made one key catch at a key time and showed that his experience and his athleticism are still there and something that can rely on. So he is squarely still in it. A lot of folks had kind of written him off, but you may have to keep 4 tight ends regardless of whether Hollywood is back or not. But you may do it specifically because you may change your game plans in the first couple of weeks, particularly against the Ravens, when you don't have Hollywood out there. That's a revenge game for Hollywood. So I'm guessing he's pushing to be back by that time. We'll see how he feels and when we get that update. And the other guy that I do want to shout out at the tight end position was one that, again, played against a lower level of competition and did have a couple of moments where he looked a little bit uncertain. But I thought I saw promise from what Baylor Cupp was able to do out there. Now, I still have slated him for the practice squad, but he's an up and coming, and I'd like to see him get some reps with Wentz, a little bit higher grade of competition, and see what he can do. Mammoth tight end. So if you're going to compensate for smaller wide receivers, let's go big with the big kids and get the tight ends out there. That makes perfect sense to me, and that's what I'm looking for. That's what I see in the breakdown here as we get a little bit more information. Chiefs are in rehab. They're getting treatment. They're getting nutrition. They're getting back on their plan for Monday morning practice. That's the Sunday update. I hope you guys had a great weekend. Be ready. If you're going to camp, it's going to be a little bit delayed. It's an hour later on Monday, but these are the last few days of camp. So if you haven't gotten out there, get there. Dan's going to be there, and he'll have some reports from camp for us. Have a great one. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and sub. Hit the bell if you want any of the gear. Get in the RGR store. I'm going to overhaul that here pretty soon, so make your life easier. Thanks for being with us. We'll catch you next time. I really just want to know how to take this damn thing off.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.